Hello.
Hi.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good.
How do I sound? Are my levels good?
Oh, you sound good. How do I sound?
Perfect.
All right, cool. My co-host Matt should be here shortly. I actually
Okay.
thought he was probably arriving as I was closing my basement door, but it was just the dogs wondering what the hell was going on. So,
It's all good.
um, I mean, you know how it works. You know Tommy and all those guys. So we're
Yeah.
just gonna let loose. There's no real plan or agenda. We do play our games. I'm not sure how familiar you are with the show or any of the
Well,
episodes or
I'm not actually, and I kind of did that on purpose because I hear that the boys have such fun that I kind of wanted to just be thrown into it, and I just wanted to enjoy it. So,
It's fine. We do a segment called Ode to Humanity, and
okay.
it's grown. It's grown huge. You're familiar with the games we play with Tommy and all them, but what we do
Yes.
is Ode to Humanity, obviously Cards Against Humanity. We used to do that and we would give you options. And then we had Justin from 98 Rock on recently, and he's like, why don't you just draw the black card and then give them a number between 1 and 5?
Okay.
They choose what the answer is.
Okay.
That's how we do it now, but you get one rebuttal. So if you don't like your
Okay.
answer, you get one rebuttal, but that has to be a lot of people do it just for joke's sake. But hey,
Yeah.
satisfied with your answer, that's it. So we do that. We do
Cool.
5 second rule.
Okay.
Incoherent. I'm not sure if you've ever played Incoherent before.
I haven't.
Okay, Incoherent pretty much is a game, and once we get rolling, it's pretty much terms that are in drunken lingo.
Okay.
Try to figure out what they say, and they're
Oh,
super
I love
on the
that.
back of the card. So a lot of people kind of don't they just kind of figure it out, but it's more hilarious when people try to sound it out.
Yeah.
And especially knowing the fact that we do a lot of video stuff, but a majority of the show is audio. So
Right.
yes, I don't think they get it because it's just kind of like, hey, they're not sounding it out, but then yet, did I just go dark?
You did.
Okay, I have no idea what the hell just happened here. Let me take that out before we go live. I have no idea. Oh, you know what? I know what it was. My camera died.
Oh no.
Because I forgot to plug it in. So
Oh no.
always something. So all right. So
I'm used to it. It could be as bad as audio. Like 2 weeks ago, we did this one episode where Eric had hit a button and he couldn't figure it out, even though literally it turns out the button says echo. He was causing us to hear our own echo every time we spoke.
yeah.
And it got to the point there, I can see you. It got to the point where I was like, are we even doing the episode? He's like, we don't have a choice. Like, I don't hear it. So he forced Jeremy and I to keep hearing everything we're saying reverted back to us, which screwed up the timing of everything. And he never checked it. And then like a week later, he goes, oh, there's a button that says echo. And I guess I pushed that. I was like, solid job, Eric.
Is I got a free GoPro through
Nice.
and it has to be on a certain setting in order for it to work right. Like you see, I'm kind of fiddling around with it.
Yeah.
Zoom doesn't really necessarily stay where it needs to be when I plug in the wire where it needs to be. And then what'll happen is if I don't have it on looping or time lapse, it'll kind of delay. So you notice that I walked in the frame and I went like that and I saw that it delayed. So I went back around. I'm like, all right, but it should be good now because normally I don't use the battery on it. I leave it plugged in. I'm always rushing around before the show starts to get shit done.
Totally get it.
I always forget.
Totally get it.
So
no, right before we had the show, I so appreciate you having me on. It has been, I'll tell you now because it's like sad. So I have had such a shit day. I have been on the phone all day trying to talk to the mayor of DC, trying to find a legal person that I can speak with. I was in DC in August. It's a longer story. I'll make it short, but essentially I got inappropriately hit with a $500 parking ticket that I should not have even received in the first place.
You know what? That makes sense in DC because I don't know if you know from the guys or not. I deliver copiers for a living.
Oh, I didn't know.
I drive a box truck. So DC and especially Philadelphia.
Oh God.
Anywhere where you're not supposed to be.
So that's what's weird. So it's a whole thing, but I was at a private gated community dog sitting because that's my side job is dog care. I was granted the ability to get into that place, parked my car where I was told to park. I then came out like 2 days later to my car in the gated community, with a DC DMV, not the place I was at. They somehow had gave me a $250 ticket, which I'm still like, I'm not paying this. Go to the place, and they admitted fault, like the residents, but they go, it's too late. We're not the one that issued you the ticket. It's City of DC.
You've got it. Yeah.
So then I tell the girl, though, she's very nice. I tell the girl whose dog I was watching, I said, hey, like, I'm not trying to be a dick. You have to pay this. I'm not paying it. Like, I was there under your guidance. You told me to park there.
Jesus.
Like, I'm not paying this.
That's the way it is. Like, customers will tell me all the time, like, hey, here, you'll be okay. And then we'll get like a fucking ticket or whatever. And it's like, what the fuck? No, what's up, dude?
Was he walking in on it?
I'm sitting there talking to the guests, and you knock on the door. You're like, are you naked? It's like, no, I'm not naked.
It's just like every other podcast I've done.
I think the big hoodie is a little uncalled for. It's not that. It's not quite that cold yet.
If I came in like this.
Is he? Oh, hi.
Hello.
Is he doing what I do when you go to Walmart and you wear a hoodie so you don't have to wear a bra? You just look real fat.
Yeah.
Because that's what I do. I'm like, I'm not.
I haven't seen you in 2 weeks.
Yeah, I haven't seen you in what?
Oh.
Yeah, we've had guest hosts, and of course, as I said, if you ever want to guest host, a lot of times with the comedian, I like to have one as a guest first, because a lot of times you, Tommy, Eric, you guys will become very familiar faces on the show.
Sure.
People, like if they're like, oh, do you want to collab? I'll have them on, here and there.
Yeah.
But
I understand.
Sure. Did you see that the Halloween logo at the Halloween?
Yes, I love it so much because I see that Tommy and Eric are on there, and I love it so much.
Yeah.
It's a good shirt.
Yes, it turned out really nice.
Well, it's funny because the guy who did who does our graphic stuff for that, Steve, he's very talented. And
amazing.
I was like, hey, would you mind doing that? And he cuts me a deal. He does like book book covers and shit.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's the thing that he did that for me, and he's doing stuff. So I just shot him out a shirt today or whatever and all that. But I mean, Teespring isn't like the best shirt company in the world, but it's the easiest. Like I hate when I did pro wrestling, getting like a shit ton of shirts made up at one time.
Yes.
And then going to the show and trying to sell them. It's at least with this. I mean, we don't really sell much of
you don't suffer the upfront cost.
Yeah. And I mean, that's the thing. And it's like for sending them to guests, it's easy. Like I'll send you one of those actually, because all the October guests, I want to try to shoot those out.
I would love that.
We're super backed up with it because with Teespring, like you still have to pay for them, but it's
of course.
Like that t-shirt would be like probably like $12-13.
I see. You finally lowered the camera so I don't have to stare at it like this.
Well, it was funny because Jess was watching one of the episodes and the camera was higher, and she's like,
well, why do you guys not look at the camera? Because that's way the fuck up.
Oh, way up high.
I lowered it down, so it's a lot.
I like the way mine's set up because you only kind of see the part of me that's like mildly attractive. And then that way everybody's like, oh, she's kind of okay looking. And I'm like, you haven't seen the bottom.
And, of course, Ashley does the Laugh Finder pod. That's where I know her from the Laugh Finder pod.
Well, I mean, that's how I ended up on Quality Time with Eric. I was their guest during the pandemic, and then Jeremy was working back when Jeremy had a job. And Eric had me fill in for like a month. And then at the end, he's like, I just want you to come on full time. He's like, I think we need a lady because Jeremy talks about rape too much and everybody's scared of him. And I was like, I can do that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Oh my God. But I was explaining the games to her. Also, we do What Do You Mean? So what do you mean? The first 2 times we've done it, we pretty much held up the card and was like, meme this. But I feel like kind of generating it off the top of your head is kind of hard. So I pulled some of the cards out of the deck, and I'll be like, we're going to do it the way we used to do Cards Against Humanity. And what's the best answer to this meme card?
Just be prepared. I'll probably shit on Eric and Tommy a lot. I love them a lot, but I mean, what does a girl do with 2 idiots that she loves a lot? You know what I mean? It's just...
And
these people write my paychecks.
So awesome. So it's right.
You're not drinking?
No, I am. I have so many cords and shit going on over here that it's just easier to have. Like the camera just went off because I forgot to fucking plug it in. I was like, oh, it's dark. So,
as long as it's not my fault for once, that's all I care about.
Well, it's funny because I tell all the guests this too, is that
you're
right now
a terrible person.
Why? Why am I a terrible person?
Old Bay beer.
Yeah, Old Bay beer. Wait, What do you expect? You know what I'm saving for last? That fucking cranberry beer shit that I still have fucking up there in the pink can.
I was gonna say cranberry beer. There's a white bitch right here that's
fucking
Live, Laugh, Love is tattooed over my tar pit. I'm very excited.
But no, what I'm doing is we ended up with so much extra beer that ended up in my vegetable bin.
I had this one.
I'm going through and like just re-featuring all the beers that we had.
I totally get that. Just clearing them out.
Beer of the week. And now it's just the featured beer. So we can feature it one week and then literally do something else. And then the next week feature that beer again.
Yeah, I totally get that.
You know,
but beer's beer, like, man.
You know, shit,
yeah, whatever. just I stopped at our local Sheets. I had no idea that we had Tall Boys for like 99 cents next to my house. I was like, oh my God, they have light beer for pussies like me. I'm so excited. Me and my Rolling Rock and my Michelob Ultra.
Normally when we have
some Rolling Rock.
We in Dundalk, that's all we did was Rolling Rock.
Really? Well, I'm a Pennsylvania gal, and Latrobe is perfect. I tell Eric, you might have seen my post. I like Eric the way I like my beer. He's tall, he's pale, and he's super cheap. He's useless. I love it.
It's funny because Rolling Rock, there was one time it was the first time I went to Ocean City after we turned 21. And it was me and my best friend who was in the Marines. And we were there and we were big Rolling Rock drinkers. And we stumble out of a bar, like we're bar hopping on the boardwalk. I think it was Hammerheads we came out of. We come out of Hammerheads. And there's this big white horse in the fucking lights. And we're like, it's the Rolling Rock horse. We're like, let's go pet him and thank him for all, the memories he's given us. So I'm petting the horse. He's kind of like aggressively, like kind of patting it on the ass. And we see a foot just kicking down at us. Like, hey,
oh my God.
And we look up and there's a cop on that horse. And he's like, what are you doing? And my friend Bobby's just kind of looking at him. He's looking at Bobby and he's like, let me see your ID. So he looked, he's like, and he looked and he saw that my birthday was in April and then Bobby's birthday was in June. So it was like July. We were up there for July 4th.
Oh, Jesus.
We had just turned 21. And he's like, all right, look, I'm going to give you guys a few options. You can either go back to the bar. That's not an option. We already went to that bar. We're not doing that. You can go back to the hotel room. That definitely ain't happening. Or you can go to jail. And then Bobby gets this really offended look on his face. And he used to do the stuff where he would ask people, do you like bubble gum? And he would show them his balls like bubble gum. So he was like, excuse me, officer, I have a question for you. Do you? And before he could say like bubble gum, we stuck our hand over his mouth and took him back into the bar. And we're like, we'll just go back into the bar. We're good, blah, blah, blah. And of course, what the hell is wrong with this thing tonight?
Oh yeah, you're a little frozen.
Yeah.
We're frozen.
Which I very much identify with that story because I too like to show my pussy to people. And I go, do you like tuna?
Oh, wow. Really?
They're like, no, I don't. I'm like, I think you do. And they're like, no, I don't.
Well,
how about mackerel?
Oh, shit. I mean, I do like tuna though. So, I mean, that would be a big.
It's good for you. Tuna is good for you.
Actually pretty good with protein.
Mm-hmm. The smell means it's working.
Sometimes you just got to get past the smell,
How's it going there, boy?
Yeah.
Well, I think what happened is
we're still here. Apparently, we're talking, but I don't know what the hell he did.
I have the battery in the GoPro.
You got it backwards, don't you?
And no, I think what it is when the battery dies. If the battery's in it, it dies completely.
Oh,
so
shit.
I just got to put it back in there without the battery in it. And I'm hoping it works fine, or else it's just overheating, and I'll just switch to the webcam view on the.
We'll figure it out. We're gonna get there.
But this is why I always like pre-show stuff, because then that way, if we run into little issues like this, I can go ahead and take care of them.
Hell yeah, take your time.
Testing.
Oh. All right, there we go. That's back up. So
that's back up, but I don't see shit.
I don't see you.
All right.
I see what Ray Charles sees. Nothing.
This is what Ray Charles sees.
Let's see.
We should get Ray Charles on a Zoom call. There we are.
He's one of the only people that I think it's acceptable to say I don't see color.
This is true.
Man, let me.
Yeah, that's good.
There,
Cool.
I see
I'm
you.
gonna use the
back.
bathroom real quick before we
Okay.
start. And then,
Okay.
so now I know not to have a battery in that when we
Go ahead, shake it, you know.
More than 3, you're playing with yourself.
That's what they say. But then I thought about it and like shit that I'm playing with myself all the time then.
I'm in I'm embarrassed that I didn't actually know what that meant until like high school because I have no brothers. I had no boyfriends until college. I just didn't understand the phrasing. And then somebody explained it to me and I was like, "Oh, you gotta shake it out. Like you gotta get the last."
Yeah.
And then I looked at my girlfriends and I was like, "Huh, I wish we could do that with our snatches."
Yeah. It would
do a
look
little
weird. It would be more like a
You see
know,
the
like
feet
a-
under the stall and you just see a lady like do
shaking it
doing-
out. Just, like,
Yeah,
what are you doing in there, Susan?
I'm getting the last drop out. But I can tell you as a woman, even more so my friends who've had children, you can think you let that last drop out, but you never quite do. you never quite. The minute you get off that toilet, you're like, son of a, all right.
Well, you know, I can relate. Not that I have had children,
Okay.
but sometimes like I'll put it back in there before like it's fully done, and then like I'm like,
You get the dribble.
shit. You know, I'm like,
Your penis has cried into your pants.
One thing is sometimes I'll wear.
I actually did that like yesterday.
And the boxers like won't absorb it as much because of the fabric that they are, and it'll just kind of like toboggan down my leg, and I'm just kind of like, I'm wearing pants. This fucking sucks.
So then I do the old like Adam Sandler, what was it? Billy Madison.
Yes.
So I like wash my hands, and I like the way I at the sinks at work they're kind of level with my crotch. So I'm just like splash a little bit, like, oh, it was a sink, you know.
Yeah.
Darn sink.
I will see. I don't do that, but I'll try to make a guy feel better about himself. And I'm like, oh, I didn't pee myself. I'm just so moist because you're such a turn on. And he's like, that doesn't smell like moist. And I'm like, it does to me. It's just, you got to find ways. You know, I actually kind of a turn here. I once shit myself at a boyfriend's house and I tried to cover it up by throwing out my clothes and lying and said I threw up on myself. And because it seemed less gross, and I was like, "Baby, I'm sick. I need to borrow some clothes."
Nice.
You only was beer. Like, oh, I'm a lightweight.
And
I was covered in Duke. It was horrible. Like you just minute they were brand new leggings. I bought them the day before, and it just you could just see it like in the legging. Like, have you ever had one of those chocolate lava cakes?
Yes.
From Domino's?
Yeah, it was like chocolate lava.
You open it up. Yeah.
What is it with the comedians with that? Because Tommy, were you with us when Tommy told the story of when he was at summer camp
Royal
and
Farms.
himself and
Yeah.
he threw
told
the
us about
shorts in the
in the
woods,
camp,
and then
yes.
they found
That was a
and
good
they
one.
knew they were his because it said it said his name
And they
written in his underwear.
they
or
asked
whatever.
him about it.
Yeah.
He was like,
Yeah.
no, they're not mine. And they're like, you sure?
Are you positive?
I remember when Eric couldn't stop eating all those hot Cheetos.
Oh
the
God.
Flaming Hot Cheetos, and it was giving him like horrific shits. And then when we asked him what his diet was like, he just kept going, "Oh, I had some McDonald's for breakfast, some Flaming Hot Cheetos, a turkey wrap, some Flaming Hot Cheetos, some pasta, some Flaming Hot Cheetos." And I was like, I think it might be the Flaming Hot Cheetos. And then when he was trying to lose all that weight, he wouldn't stop eating cashews.
Oh Jesus.
And he started shitting oil from the cashews because it was all he was eating.
Oh,
And I said, "Hey, Eric, are you going to stop doing that?" And he goes, "No, I want to be thin." And I was like, I hate to break
That's
it.
the
to
likely
you.
answer. That's the likely answer.
it's
But,
all oiled up.
What I'm gonna
I'm
do?
like, you're just going to be fat and have oily boobs.
Oh,
Facebook
no, I
Live.
hate those. Those are the worst.
So here,
Oh,
let me-
man, it still makes me laugh because I don't feel, you know what I mean? I don't feel alone. I feel seen. Just me and my shitty bros.
I'm gonna go ahead and prep this for Facebook Live. So it's gonna start live probably at least like 2 minutes or so early. Then that way we can just go ahead and rock and roll. You said you're good if it runs a little bit over an hour normal.
Oh, yeah, I'm not going anywhere. I'm trapped here in my tiny apartment.
All right, cool. So I'm gonna go ahead and hit go live. I'll make sure look at my phone so we can see the feed. Yeah, I know I got it. We're going live. I got it. So go. And then I will pull it up on here. If anybody's seeing us right now, we will be starting the show momentarily.
They see us.
We see your soul.
Nice. Okay.
All right, there we go. So that's on that. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and get rolling just a little bit early. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Happy Hour podcast. Of course, my name's Ray. Matt is back for the first time in 2 weeks. Of course, Socrates has been filling in for him, and also Tommy Sambazo was a fill-in for as well. And we are being joined by our featured guest tonight, comedian, host of the Quality Time podcast, Ashley Pontius. Ashley, we were just kind of kicking it a little bit before we went on. How's everything going? Like, how's everything been?
I'm good. You know, I'm a government employee. I was super excited to hear I might lose my job yesterday. So that was very cool. They're like, hey, so like if we don't get funding by midnight,
we're gonna have to
and I was like, oh, okay. And then a colleague comes over to me and goes, hey, I just want to let you know when they start firing people, you'll be the first. And I was like, thank you so much, Tammy. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you very much, Tammy, as you're cleaning your gun. You're cleaning the pistol under the desk.
That's all she had to say to me. She's like, I just want to let you know, you'll probably be the first. I was like, yeah, I've done the math. I figured that.
It's kind of fucked up, but I mean,
yeah, it was, I mean, I didn't know what to say. I was just like, well, if we don't lose our jobs, I'll see you on Friday.
oh.
God. So it's been a great day. I'm getting fully loaded. I'm fully ready to just get you guys deep inside me. I'm very
and of course it is October 1st, which means it is the beginning of the best time of year, and that's not pumpkin spice lattes, white chicks calm down. It is Halloween season, which is the best season around. It is my Christmas. I love it. Me and my wife are going to Salem this year for Halloween.
That's so cool.
Fucking awesome. Of course, my Leatherface giving the middle finger, Johnny Cash style on my t-shirt. Of course, Matt is wearing our official Happy Hour podcast Return of the Drunken Dead t-shirt, which is a spoof of Return of the Living Dead. It has myself, Tommy Simbazo, Eric Woodworth, Blood Socrates, Mike, and of course Matt and myself on the front. Make sure you get one over at www.thehhpod.com. Now, also knowing the fact that it's October 1st, it definitely feels like Halloween season, because finally the lawsuit for Friday the 13th has been somewhat resolved. So
well, when you say somewhat, what do you mean?
Apparently they ruled in favor of Victor Miller, who took Sean S. Cunningham to court over the copyrights. So they ruled in his favor. Everybody's hoping that another appeal is not filed by Sean S. Cunningham. Right. So pretty much what that means is Victor Miller now has the rights to the overall property of Friday the 13th and the characters associated with the first movie. However, he does not have anything associated with part 2 or forward, which means the humanized killing machine Jason Voorhees that we all love, he cannot fuck with. Only child version of Jason he cannot fuck with. So what I am hoping is that Sean S. Cunningham just basically goes, well, fuck you, and redoes the movies, but with a different title. You can always do Camp Forest Green, which is what Crystal Lake was named to later on in time, and just call the movie Voorhees or Jason or just something along the lines. Because really, Friday the 13th, there's not, aside from him being born on Friday the 13th and that being his birthday, nothing in the movie really says Friday the 13th. It's focused on the hockey mask killer Jason Voorhees. So that's what I am hoping for, because I am a huge Jason fan. And I mean, you guys, Quality Time Podcast, you guys cover a lot of horror movies.
Yeah, well, I mean, Friday the 13th is one of my favorites. It's just, I think it's an amazing franchise, and also, I don't know, ever since I was a kid and I got into horror, I kind of inappropriately latched onto this series because my birthday is actually Friday the 13th.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so like I started
That's not creepy at all.
Well, no, get this. So I was born on the full moon on Friday the 13th, and my initials are AVP for Alien versus Predator.
Okay, we are talking to the devil right now.
I just can't do it.
You're not the first man to say that.
No. And of course, with Friday the 13th, and of course Halloween and all that, like, and I think I said this before in one of our early episodes, is that I got into horror. Like, of course, all my tattoos are horror oriented. I want to have a whole big Friday the 13th montage done up here. I got into it because my mom was too scared to watch them by herself, because my dad wanted to watch them when I was a kid. So I'm being subjected to that as a child because
Right.
I'm scared, and she can just laugh at me and be like, he's fucking scared. Like, you know, whatever. I mean, my parents tortured me with a My Buddy doll around the time. So, but no, I'm also super excited about, you know, the new Halloween that's coming out also October 15th,
that
which
does
is
look
going to
pretty
be
dope.
Peacock. So
Yeah, I'm so pumped. So back to the, you know, the Friday the 13th. So it's kind of interesting. People have always acted like, you look at the Oscars from the Academy Awards every year. Everyone knows we like never get to see horror because people treat horror like it's a lesser category, which always blows my mind because you look at legal battles like this because there's a fandom there and there's money there. People pour their money into the horror franchise. Because I mean, even look at the battle that we just kind of watched with Clive Barker and the rights to his original films and work. So it gets really messy and complicated, and it's all for the love of this genre. So for people to say it's not marketable,
His state is going to try that with the Spider-Man as well.
Correct.
So I don't think that's going to go. I think Disney has a lot more powerful punch point.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Victor Miller and Shauna Cunningham does, but
yeah, but hey, what's
you
her
know,
name? Black Widow just won her thing.
Yeah,
She
yeah.
settled.
Yeah, she's
Yeah,
settled.
well, she
So-
settled, but I think that Disney was like, well, you know, well, here,
Well,
money, and she was like,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
well,
Well,
I'm
I think
watching you.
Well, if it was in her contract, I mean, legally to some degree, I think she very much had a point that if she was guaranteed this, they kind of did her dirty to kind of do a backdoor deal on her like that, and end up going
You know, a
streaming.
lot of men
I would
definitely do a
love. I
backdoor
was
deal
going to
on
say that.
Scarlett
I
Johansson.
would love to do
That
a
ass.
deal with her.
We were just talking about her ass the other day. I'm just so fucking. Just
It is.
God,
crazy.
What's funny
Well,
is
we had Captain
yeah.
America. He's like, that's America's ass, but I think
Yeah.
Scarlett Johansson, that's America.
well,
the thing is all the women in Black Widow, movie Black Widow, they've all posed nude. Every single one of them. So we talked about that when we had Tim Adams on. Rachel Weisz, you can find her nude. You can find the sister. She just did a nude scene, and you can find Scarlett Johansson nude. So
Yeah.
you know that's the thing. And of course, you know they're all nude in that. And what's funny is, you know, going back to the Friday the 13th, like Jason for me, you know, Michael Myers. Like I grew up with Michael Myers. I grew up with Freddy. Like for me, it was Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, and then Halloween 3rd. You know, my excitement for Halloween is just because something's new, but Jason, Michael Myers, Freddy, you know, those are the Frankensteins and Wolfmans of our generation. You know,
Agreed.
We're going to be old and gray, and they're still going to be making remakes of Friday the 13th and Halloween. It's what's
absolutely.
as long as it's still raking in money. Look at all the Fast and the Furious movies they've fucking done, and they're going to keep making those.
Yeah, you know, I think that's a really good point. I mean, I think it kind of represents, and I know this has been said before, so it's not original, but they do kind of echo and I think represent the fears of their time. So if you look at what our parents were going through, so like my parents are in their very early 60s, but you look at them growing up in the 70s and again 80s, you saw kind of the creation of true horrifying crime in your community. Your communities used to be, we don't lock doors, we all know each other. Then it becomes, you know, my neighbor slit his wife's throat. You know, my neighbor burned down their house with their kids in it. It becomes a new type of real life horror. And these characters like personify the neighbor next door, the people you're afraid of.
Well, that's the thing. It's like, and you know, going with Nightmare on Elm Street, you can lock your doors all you want. That doesn't matter because that motherfucker's going to get you one way or another. And I mean that's and it sucks because with Nightmare on Elm Street, they can move on from Robert Englund. They can easily recreate the way Robert. I think if they were to do the makeup exactly how Robert Englund looks, and someone does the voice, we'll be able to move on easily from Robert Englund.
I was not a fan of the remake or the reboot they did.
The reboot was good, but the makeup was terrible.
Even watched it,
and there's this guy on TikTok. He does like a Freddy, like one there, and it's great. And he looks exactly like fucking Robert. And it's just the way that you have to do the prosthetics. And if you do prosthetics like Freddy, it's gonna work. It's gotta look like Robert Englund though, or else it's
well, correct. So I am so in love with the classics, and I don't want to be such a stickler that I don't leave room for new artists to have their own imaginations for these characters. But I also strongly believe, though, in coming up with new and original ideas, just like Wes had created with Freddy. I think when people tap into their own creativity, we don't necessarily need reboots or reimaginations of a franchise. I want to see new types of fears personified. So I know not everybody agrees and he's a different type of horror, but I really give a lot of credit to Jordan Peele. Though a lot of that is race-based and may not speak to everybody, it's a new type of horror we don't see a lot of. We had Candyman, but it was so limited because it was just, the only thing we had. I think no matter what your race is, I see a lot of wonderful terror in Jordan's work.
Well, I want to see that new movie that's being advertised. I'm not sure if there's a trailer for it, but it's just called Nope.
Yes, I've only seen the poster.
It's a big cloud. It's a big cloud. And it has like, what is it? Like flag,
Nope.
a string of flags hanging down from it. And
something like that. It's like a spaceship almost looks like.
Steve Yen, who's Glenn from The Walking Dead, he's in that. So it'll be cool seeing him because you look at him and no matter what, he will always be Glenn from The Walking Dead. Just like, what's his face? John Barenthal will always be Shane, even though he was the Punisher. It's funny that when you first saw him in The Punisher, he was wearing clothes similar to the clothes he was killed in The Walking Dead. And I was like, that's a little weird. And I think they were paying homage to that character and telling people, hey, we know you know who this is.
Right.
And, that's the thing. So people get typecast for a certain role, but they know, hey, that's the guy from The Walking Dead. So Steve Yen from The Walking Dead, and people will be like, oh, hey, look, that's Glenn. So, but yeah, I agree too, because, they're going to they're doing another Jeepers Creepers. They're doing another Wrong Turn.
Interesting.
Yeah. So that actually Sadie Katz, who did, I think the 6th Wrong Turn, she's going to be on in 2 weeks. And
okay. That's awesome.
She has a small role in the new one. So what it was with Wrong Turn, the first 2 were great. And I kind of like The Hills Have Eyes. Like The Hills Have Eyes was a new, that and the second one were a new kind of terror. And I always credit them. A lot of people say Scream put horror back on the map. I disagree. I think The Hills Have Eyes did it because not only was that physical horror, but that was mental horror. I mean, just the way the people looked. They had rape in the movie. They had all anything that you could possibly imagine that would fuck with you. I feel like that whole
time period between like the very kind of late 90s into the early 2000s, we were seeing a real renaissance. And I'm not saying they were all perfect because I know they weren't. But, there's a movie a lot of people give shit to, and I kind of see why. But for me, it's in my Halloween 31 days every year, is House on Haunted Hill, the one from the 90s. But I love it because there was something phenomenally scary and uncomfortable about it. It paid homage to the original, but I thought the casting was phenomenal. And I thought things like that and 13 Ghosts, again, another remake.
13 Ghosts is great. I feel like 13 Ghosts is a movie that shouldn't have a remake unless they do a good remake. And that's
well, so here's the thing. I know it's not perfect, right? There's things about it that can be a little hokey or like not, again, no movie's perfect, but it's very much in the same vein with House on Haunted Hill. They have very similar feels. And then the haunting kind of again semi-similar. They have these feels to where I feel like they were waking up that very gothic, back when Hot Topic was cool audience that was really looking to connect with its own age of horror. Because we were too cool for our parents' horror a little bit, but we wanted something that felt like ours. And I think that was what was happening in like 1999, 2000, 2001.
Yeah, and I mean, see,
like the Craft. Like, didn't they redo
I don't know if they redid it. I think they're supposed to. I think COVID
they already
was
did
a reboot.
Was there a reboot?
Well, it was like a sequel reboot. So it was called Craft Legacy, and it was about the girls' daughters. And I believe Fairuza Balk may have come back and had like a small cameo because you see her as like one of the girls' daughters, which again, if you're going to do like a reboot, kind of like with Candyman, which is still fresh in theaters, I don't want to talk about it too much and ruin it for anybody. But just this idea that it's a reboot / reimagining sequel to it pays like a really beautiful homage to where it came from, but also tries to set up a thing for itself. It's like a child being like, I know where I come from, but I want my own identity.
And they, that's one thing that I will say that I appreciated about the last Halloween is that it paid a ton of homage to the older movies, but it became its own movie. And you can see in the second movie, they're paying homage to the second and third movie in the trailers.
Right, which I love.
They're in the hospital and he gets out of a fire. In the second movie, he was burned in a fire and he's walking her in the hospital, and they're in the hospital and he probably ends up there. But also, there's a sequence in that where there's a bunch of dead people on like
Yes, the kids
around things, and they're all wearing the Halloween 3 masks, and you see the clover on the side, and you're like, that's the little Easter egg for that. I'm like, fuck yeah. And
yes,
I hope, like, a lot of people were asking me, do you think that they kill Michael Myers at the end of this? And, somebody else becomes the killer, because you see in this, I don't know if you saw the second trailer, but the second trailer pretty much shows, hey, this is pretty much, everybody reuniting from the first movie. Like the kids, Laurie, all of them, to fight Michael Myers. And the whole thing is that happens, but also you see someone in that movie that's dressed up in the clown costume at some point in the trailer.
Right.
So it's like, is somebody taking that back over? Because originally Jamie was supposed to take over for Michael Myers.
Well, correct. So if I think they follow the pattern they did with the 2018 Halloween, I believe potentially, though I obviously don't know, I think there's a strong chance they'll continue to ignore all the movies after the first one. They may do like, a nod or an Easter egg to them, but if they're going to keep with that, I think they have to stick with the trajectory of you're forgetting everything in between. Now, am I upset if they make more movies? No, like obviously I love the series. I'm not like complaining.
I think this is a trilogy. I think once this trilogy's done, and Jason Blumhouse is doing a great job with it, but somebody else is going to pick it up and do their own rendition of it. And it is what it is. But it's the whole thing of what really pissed me off with the first one. I would have gave the movie 5 stars. But what really pissed me off was one scene that stands out was when the motherfucking doctor turned heel and he put the fucking mask on. I was like, oh no, they're really going this fucking way where he wears he's controlling what Michael Myers does. And that part was the only black eye that was in that. So I'm hoping they don't take, Michael Myers out of the equation, because it's like those franchises, Halloween's built off of Michael Myers. Friday the 13th, like everybody said, Victor Miller can redo Friday the 13th. Victor Miller never liked Jason, adult killer Jason. So if he does a Friday the 13th and Jason's not in it, it's gonna bomb and it's gonna lose money.
Absolutely, it'll bomb.
Thing. People pay to see Freddy, see Jason. I go to cheer them. I could give a shit about the people they're stalking. Like,
correct.
Put an axe in their head.
I'm curious, how do you guys feel about a lot of our favorite movies now being turned into TV shows?
I honestly feel Halloween, like I'm gonna watch the new Chucky. Last Chucky, I didn't even fuck with it. When I saw that was an animatronic, like whatever the fuck that thing was, I was like, I'm not even watching it. I heard it was awful. I heard the only highlight of it was Aubrey Plaza, and that's understandable. But
it was a terrible movie.
But like, I want to watch the Chucky series, but I honestly feel that like a Jason's Chronicles, like Chronicles of Friday of Camp Crystal Lake or something like that.
Did they do that in the 80s or the 90s? It did have a show for like a season.
13th show, but it was kind of like Freddy's Nightmares. And that's what it was. So it had no association with Jason or anything like that. Okay. But I honestly feel like shows like that would do very well, because now, kind of like in the Marvel universe, now you have stories that you can tell that arc over a 10 to 12 hour span, compared to trying to, you can tell a little bit more of a story, and you can have Jason kill 470 people in 12 episodes compared to
Well, for me personally, I've got to say I'm actually not a fan. And for me, I think the reason is it's almost an oversaturation of the thing I crave. It's almost like eating pizza every day for a year, and then you're like, oh, I fucking hate pizza because you've kind of gorged yourself on it. Yeah. But I got to tell you guys, I just binged Midnight Mass, which again, mini series, very limited, incredible. I can't stop talking about it.
Oh God.
Over the top, 10 out of 10 for
Netflix,
me.
I was like, I started to watch it a little bit, and I was like,
10 out of 10.
Good, because it was like, I don't know, I gotta be at work at like 5 a.m.
Yeah, it's bingeable. So yeah, I would tell you save it for like, if you're a binger like me.
I'm probably gonna watch it tonight. Now that you say it's good, because I hear mixed things.
Yes. Well, so here's my thing. If you don't agree, no big deal. Eric is watching right now, Eric Woodworth, and he did say he felt it was a little slow. And some people have said like up until the 4th episode, they're kind of like bored. Yeah. I wasn't, but there's a lot more story giving you context and background and helping you get attached to characters.
Yeah.
And then I'm telling you, about 4 or 5 at most. Once it hits, it fucking hits. And I could not stop watching.
That reminds me of another really famous series.
Mhm.
And see if you can guess what it was that you watched the first season and you're just kind of like, and then once season 2 kicked in, it was one of the most popular shows ever.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm not much of a technically a TV person, so let me give myself a defense there. But also, I was born in '92, so I think I'm a little bit younger. But I am obsessed to this day with Twin Peaks.
Okay. Well, what I was talking about,
I'm
was
obsessed
The Walking
with Twin
Dead.
Peaks as well.
The Walking Dead. You watch the first season of The Walking Dead, you're like, like I wasn't sure. But
Yeah.
see, like I watched the first season of The Walking Dead. I've never been a big fan of zombies.
Is that your reveal?
Never.
Was Walking Dead?
Yeah.
You didn't.
Mine was
He's
Walking-
like, I couldn't
Like,
tell.
I was like, oh, he's gonna come up
No,
with some shit.
The Office
Walking
was
Dead?
kind of like
Okay,
that
okay.
too. The Office was kind of like, I watched the first season
I
of The
believe
Office.
that.
I'm like, Michael's annoying. I don't like it, you know. But and I watched the second season. I'm like, this is the best fucking
honestly,
show ever.
not.
Yeah.
This isn't horror. I'm gonna go off the rails with this one, but
dude,
but
that
like-
show goes off the rails.
well,
all
I
the
know,
time.
but
Like,
Game of Thrones kind of did that for me.
I
don't
could believe that.
But like season 1 was like, you know, and then when they killed who I thought was like the main character, like Ned Stark,
Right.
You're never gonna watch it. You're not in that shit. I was like, holy shit, they just killed the main fucking character. Now I had to watch
Yeah.
the rest of the fucking
Yeah.
shit to see what happened.
I guess
Yeah.
that'd be almost like killing Rick in The Walking Dead, like midway through, just boom, gunshot
Well,
to the head. Like what the fuck?
You know, with Walking Dead, you're right. I had a hard time getting into the first season, but once I was there, I was in.
Yeah.
In fact, even though my family is not really a horror family, I grew up very conservative. It was something we all got into, and we would actually all go to my parents' house every Sunday. My parents have a theater room in their house, rich white people, and we would go over and watch it all together every Sunday. It was the only thing we bond over. My parents would go to church in the morning. I wouldn't, but that evening we would all get together and watch Walking Dead. But man, I'm saying what, after the 5th, 6th season or so,
My wife tapped out after
I
season.
tapped out.
And what's
Yep.
bad?
I
is
loved it.
Season
but,
9 was so good.
Oh,
Season 9 was so good, so beautifully written. And parts of season 10, once they put Angela Kang in, what's his face fucked it up. Like, I don't know what the hell, like the old showrunner's name was, but he fucked it up so bad.
well, I was super invested in the governor.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And like I was even on board through Terminus because I'm like, are they fucking eating people? This is phenomenal. I'm hungry. And I just what? yeah, I loved it. I loved it. And I gotta be honest, even when we lost Carl, I mean, that was
I didn't even see that.
Yeah.
Oh,
I stopped beforehand. Well, I'm never
Well,
gonna watch it now.
Yeah.
because
okay. Well, it was
far gone. I wouldn't know what the fuck was happening. Like,
well, it was devastating. It was upsetting,
Yeah.
but it was, you know,
But you
I
sat
still
there,
felt
you thought,
invested.
what's going to happen with the future of the show now?
Correct.
That's
And
the
then I
point.
saw what happened to the future of the show. And I was like, I wish I could get about 3 years of my life back.
Yeah. And what's funny is the Rick episode, I think was probably one of the best episodes they had ever
Mhm.
done. And that's the thing. And taking Rick out of the show, I feel is what really killed it because I never looked at it as The Walking Dead. I looked
Yeah.
at it as the story of Rick Grimes. And
Agreed.
that's the thing. And that show is not
Yeah,
that
talk-
show without Rick.
Yeah.
So,
Mhm.
you know, I haven't seen any of season 11 yet. And of course, I
No.
cut the cord on cable. But as soon as I
Yep.
hear Rick Grimes came back, that's going to be the episode that I watch because
Yeah.
Rick Grimes is one of my man
He's not
crushes.
back,
Like I
right?
love,
Yeah.
but he's
Yeah.
going to. They're already
Well, we
dropping
rumored that he was alive.
but Michonne found his boots on a boat, so she knows he's alive. But you know, the way
Yeah.
they wrote that, and they brought Shane back, and like
Yeah.
like a Vision. You know, they brought what's his name, Herschel back.
Herschel.
Vision. You know, you're just kind of like, man, this is the way the show used to be written.
Well, can I tell you what I think one of the most perfect endings to the show series should have been? That, and this is just a general flat statement. The very end, whatever was going on, Rick should have been dying. It should have been the end of his story. And whoever he's dying with or whatever, the one person at his death at the final moment of the show should have been Morgan.
Yeah.
Because Morgan is at the
Sure.
very beginning of his story and he makes Rick ultimately who he kind of becomes.
Yeah.
right.
And they both have lost their children and they have such a bond and they keep coming back to each other after everything they've been through almost through the show. I think him and Morgan should have ended the show as like a final scene. Like
Yeah.
those
And
two, perfect.
And it's funny because they always handed on old man Rick, because there was a scene in
Right.
season 9 where he woke up and he was older, and everybody was
Yeah.
like, how's he older, with like the beard or whatever and all
Yeah.
that. So I'm kind of excited for
Yeah.
the Rick Grimes movies, because I love Rick,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but
Well,
yeah,
he had a hell of a
just-
story arc.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
he's
Yes.
arguably probably has the best story arc of
he's
air
probably-
time,
he-
really.
yeah, he's
in my
probably one-
opinion.
I wanted to get, like, honestly, I wanted to get a tattoo done on my back, on my whole entire shoulder area. And it was going to be all the horror movie icons having a
Mhm.
face off with all the main Walking Dead characters, like
Mm.
and all that, like Rick's pointing his gun and you see Freddy, Jason, all that, and they're all
Yeah.
facing off. Like, what would happen if these two worlds
I
came?
will also debate you that I think as great as Rick is, he's a phenomenal character, great story. I actually personally feel Michonne had a much more impressive creation of her story, because we see her go from, I'll even start with her flashbacks of what we know her to be before, a loving woman, mother, functional human being in society, to losing it all, including her child. And then we meet her as this shell of a person who is so violent and silent, and there's nothing redeemable about her, who then becomes essentially like a mother all over again, and takes
it's
care of
funny
so many
because
people.
when you first see her, you see the savageness in her, but you see the humanity. Even though walkers are coming, she's like hurt, and she still shows up with stuff for the baby. For
Correct.
outside the prison, and people were just kind of like, they were very weary of her.
Right, well,
And it's crazy how a lot
actually,
of that works.
I'd like to take it all back. Walking Dead is pretty well written.
Yeah.
thing.
Overall, yes.
Now is overall. Now I don't know. It's probably all fucked up, but like,
Yeah.
because even the character,
Well,
what's her name?
Angela Kang revived the show in season 9, but I think it was just too late by then.
It's
But
too
So
late.
many people had checked out,
What's
and
the
I don't
one?
like the way they did Negan either. Negan,
You mean Andrea?
The girl, the
Maggie?
woman. No, her husband used to beat her and shit.
oh, Carol.
Carol.
She's still
Carol's
alive.
phenomenal.
She's still alive.
Carol was one of the most
See?
badass characters.
Yeah.
You're right. She's another great arc from
Pretty
weak
badass,
woman
too.
to fucking warrior.
Right. The way
Oh
she,
my
her
God.
story arc was
Yeah.
she went from this poor defenseless woman to
Yeah.
just being a total.
I'm
fucking
kind of upset that they never
savage.
put her
Total
and Daryl
savage.
together. That,
Dude,
that-
I wanted to see them fuck so bad.
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean,
I
who
like
doesn't
my
fuck
milfs.
Daryl?
Just
I mean, I want to fuck Daryl. So I mean,
God, he's got that dirt bag that's like 22, but you're 16 and he's still hanging around your high school asking for smokes. Like, he's got that vibe, and I'm like, oh, you're gonna be a misdemeanor. I just something about him. I just love.
he pulls up in a fucking what is it? A Firebird with the
Yes.
the T-top.
Yeah.
And he's just like, get in, woman. And you're like, hell yeah.
He's smoking cigarettes. He rolled himself, and he's doing that thing from Dazed and Confused. He's like, I get older, they stay the same age. All right.
Meanwhile, a teacher comes running out to school like, what are you doing? And he just shoots him with a crossbow right in the head.
Jesus Christ,
Goes
man.
out. Yeah.
Also,
And
like,
then he
what
sneaks
a
off.
what a great like career. If you look at his list of movies, it's like Boondock Saints, Blade 2.
The Walking Dead. Like, that's
The Walking Dead. Yeah. Just
Yeah.
man, you know who else I would love to get deep dicked by? Negan. Jeffrey Dean
Oh.
Morgan is
Not
such
a
a
lot of-
daddy.
Rick is here for me. Negan is here. Like, just
Yeah.
slightly below. Negan
Dead.
was so great as a character.
I just want to know.
They just
personally,
strung it
though,
out so
hold
much.
on.
Like,
I've got to ask: is the bat Lucille? Is that going to be involved in your little sexual
no.
escapade?
Oh God! Unless you're getting spanked by it, then kind of hot. But if you're like, oh my God, I just had this image of being like, it's a dildo. And I'm like, no, it's not. That just horrible.
he just goes, Lucille isn't the only thing that's wrapped in barbed wire.
Oh, the boys call me teeth.
It'd be a nice
Vagina dentata.
Lucille.
I feel like, though, when Negan's group came in, I feel like what they did is they drug it out they made Rick's
Yeah.
group look too weak, And that's what killed the Savior's storyline, is the fact that and they had so much there. For a while they started to build the arc of, you were starting to run out of bullets, and then they started making bullets, and they had all this high-powered artillery everywhere. And then when season 9 finally happened, it was finally the kind of thing where guns weren't around anymore. You were just kind of like,
correct,
fucking finally, like, how long have they been doing this? Like, and they're still
like,
well,
here's what I gotta say. So between like TV shows, and we were talking about, reboots and remakes, ultimately I try not to be a snob, but I think when I look at my shows that I love, like The Walking Dead, or with a franchise I love, for me, there's nothing wrong with a story ending. My big thing is end a story on top. And not because I don't want more, because like you're sad to see something you love end, but you leave, if you do it well, you leave going, you know what? I'm sad the journey's over, but I feel satisfied. I feel complete by walking away from a story that wrapped up.
Yeah, because then they're beating a dead horse, and that's why I stopped watching The Walking Dead. It's like, okay, guys, you're beating a dead horse at this point.
Well, The Walking Dead, obviously, they're going to do the Rick Grimes trilogy in movies. So The Walking Dead needs to end the way that it began.
Correct.
You saw was Rick waking up in the hospital, and the last thing you need to see is Rick. Whether there's a threat and you see him just kind of standing there with like Daryl and Carol and Michonne and all that behind him, and it just ends like that. Whatever, but you need to see Rick Grimes standing in the frame as that show concludes, because if not, just send it back. I don't want to.
Well, dragging a show out too long is kind of like being married to a comedian. You're like, this should have ended like 5 years ago. And you just keep doing it, and you're like, wow, you know what? I thought about this, and it's just not fun anymore. I'd like to watch something else on a different network.
I'm canceling cable tomorrow.
I was gonna say I'm changing providers. I'm sorry. I'm going to Xfinity. Don't be mad.
And what we're gonna do real quick
is switch and come back.
That's
what I do.
Oh yeah, you can always just
you can, but sometimes it's not the same one you came back to. You know what I mean?
You cut the cord on cable, and then you just go, well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to fiddle the cord together and wrap some electrical tape around it. And then that's what it's going to be.
If you think about it, if you don't have cable and you just have a bunch of streaming apps like I do,
that's what
technically it's network polyamory. You're in a relationship with a lot of different networks.
I mean, hey, yeah.
And what we're going to do real quick for everybody listening at home, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to play a song, get some words from our sponsors, and we will be right back right here on the Happy Hour podcast. For those of you watching live, of course, we keep on rolling along. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back.
I just want to
I just wanted to do the Wayne's World thing.
Did you just start doing that one though?
Yes.
Just now.
Just now.
Okay,
just
stop
now.
doing it.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Happy Hour podcast. Of course, I'm Ray. I'm here with Matt. Matt's back after 2 weeks, and we are here with comedian Ashley Pontius. And what we're going to do is we are going to get into our featured beer. Of course, you guys know, watching at home, we've been refeaturing a lot of stuff because I'm trying to empty out my fridge, and we're getting very, very close to it being empty. So what we are refeaturing is by Flying Dog Brewery, and it's Dead Rise Old Bay Goss, which has Old Bay inside the beer. So it's right here.
I was wondering what that word is. Goss.
It's ghost, goss.
Goosey?
Yeah.
Gossy?
Yeah.
I don't.
Goose. It's goose. Yeah. Obey goose.
I wish it was moi, but
it's like but fancy.
To be honest, it's really not as bad as I thought it was going to be. But it's kind of like that beer where you go over your friend's house. Hey, this is all I got to drink. And you're just like, well, fuck you. I hate you, but I'm going to drink it anyway.
Fuck you. I hate you. I'm going to hate fuck you with this beer. That's the way it's going to work.
This is what
oh my God, guys, stop talking about my senior year of college.
And what we're going to do real quick now is our featured shot as well. Of course, Matt, we have a new featured shot. It's not Polo Club anymore.
Oh, it's not the gin. Thank God. Thank you, Jesus.
It was supposed to be the Metallica whiskey, which I have upstairs. However, you weren't here. I didn't want to debut that without you here. So we're going to finish off something else first, which didn't have much to it. So here's that. Okay. And what it is I figured we needed something a little bit better after doing the Polo Club, which
this is
Captain Morgan's Long Island iced tea, which I could drink this whole entire bottle myself. And after Ashley Pontius, I don't know if you've ever had Polo Club cologne. gin.
have it.
It tastes the way aftershave smells. It's fucking terrible. We did that, and it was awful. So this, shout out to Captain Morgan's Long Island Iced
That
Tea.
looks good though.
Yeah, this is a lot more of a
Yes,
better
Long
palate
Island Iced Tea.
cleanser than what Polo Club was. So
Last night I made the mistake of doing a shot of Smirnoff green apple vodka because it was all I had.
Dude, I used to
And
love that shit back in the day.
it hurt real bad. It really burns off the taste buds. That's how it's a palate cleanser.
like it's so much of a palate cleanser. You're like, now I know what the inside of my penis or vagina feels like when it burns when I pee. Like this is what it's like, but in my mouth. Like,
Yes, it reminds me of the time I got a flex disc stuck in my cooter. So that's
You had a flex. What?
a flex cup is like one of those like lady period cups that are supposed to be like better for the environment and you. Well, I didn't put it in right and it got wedged inside me and I had to fist myself to get it out. It was wild.
Did you like try to fire it
Right
out
on.
like that? Like
No, I actually had to call the like sexual health nurse helpline. I was like, hey, like it's stuck inside me. And she's like, okay, well, you're gonna stick a fist up there. And I was like, do you think I can do it? She's like, I believe in you.
You talked you through it. That's so sweet of her.
Oh my god! But when I got it out though, I like did it like frisbee golf, and I was like, look, I'm Brian Preston, and
could you imagine what some of those people probably hear on that hotline?
I mean,
like,
we really
she
shot, but
yeah, do your shots, boys. Show them
but
what you can.
I got questions.
Oh, so many, I know.
so many questions.
Now that you're born.
And we might as well probably finish that because there's not a lot left in that.
Yeah, sure.
So,
Yeah, come on, I can't be the only one drinking.
I think that's what you're
fine.
gonna do. But no, like just imagine that, like being a 911, like a sexual health advisor, and someone calls and they're like, yeah,
I taste the alcohol in that
I have a
Jesus.
microphone shoved in my vagina, and they're just kind of like, why is there a microphone in your vagina?
It gets worse. So one time not to hold us up, but one time I was fucking this soccer player from the UK, and he's very hot, very tall, very attractive. And I was on the last day of my period, and I was like, hey, do you care? And he's like, no, I'm an animal. Who cares? So I forgot that I had a light day tampon inside me, and we were getting hot and heavy, and he had a big dick, and he started thugging me. And after it was over, I thought, he had a tampon in there, and I couldn't find it.
Oh no.
And I was like, oh no, he shot it into my cervix, and it took me like a day and a half. But again, I learned
threw it up, didn't you? It shot up into you, and then you had to.
I had to it was like when I'm 5 foot and it was like trying to reach for something in the back of the pantry. I'm like on my tippy toes. I'm like, I can get it. And when I got it, for some reason I was totally naked because I thought it would be easier to like fix myself. So I'm just like crab walking like my leg up on the table. I'm like, I can get it. And I got it out. And then without thinking, I like shot it like it was a free throw into the toilet, and I was like, Kobe. And my roommates were super upset that I lived with them. But man, like I've just had so many wild things get caught up in there because I get excited and then I forget.
Yeah, I get excited. I bought this cactus and I was just so excited about it. I just had to be like, you know what? I'm so excited. Yeah.
While you were naked,
Yes,
out of your vagina,
yes.
did you have to spit on it to like lube it up, or did you talk dirty?
I'm always at high tide.
Oh, you dirty little whore! Oh yeah.
I'm always at high tide. But if I really couldn't get there though, I would just talk to me like Eric talks to me, be like, God, like our old host was prettier. And I'm like, do more. And he's like, you're like a little bit funnier than me by just a little bit. And I'm like, more. I'm just kidding. Eric's very supportive. I just like to talk shit about him because he's not here. I know he's listening.
And Eric's great. Shout out to Eric. Of course, him, Tommy Sambazo, they're all great. They help out on the show. They're on our shirt. Buy the fucking shirt. If not, we're gonna brutally murder you like what you see in a Friday the 13th movie, and that's just the way it's gonna work. And I don't want to have to do that. I don't want to have to be that person. I'm not.
I actually do. So don't buy the shirt.
I love that Ray acts like he's the only person that's thought about killing Eric. Please, I think about it every week.
And of course, we're on Facebook Live. So shout out to everybody tuning in and joining us on Facebook Live. Of course, Tom Nutty said working at the club tonight, so I can't hang out with you
Oh,
guys.
I love Tom Nutty. Fuck Tom Nutty.
And then also
Fuck
Samantha
Tom
Dickel
Nutty.
says, hey. So hey, back to Samantha. And what we're going to do is we are going to get into the humanity. So I was explaining the games to you before we went on. So what we're going to do is we're going to kick it off with 5-second rules, because that's always a little bit more tame, like kind of get the juices rolling type, game. That if you want to grab 5-second rule, we'll do 2 rounds of 5-second rule. And then, of course, one thing, we always have a bad habit. Like Matt just put his beer right down next to the laptop. We always have bad habit of pouring our shots and all that over the computer. And it's just kind of like
one of these days.
Yeah, one of these days.
I keep trying to pull back while I'm burping from all the beer I'm consuming, because I'm like, nobody wants to hear
on a
me.
happy hour podcast. Let her rip.
I know, but I still need to have like the veil up that I'm like mildly fuckable. I just need to kind of keep that up. They're just like, well, she's not that cute, but she doesn't burp.
Like you can unplug your thing so there's no picture, and then just
you can just hit mute,
and then plug it back. Like, oh, you fucking cat! Like,
you say I can hit mute, but do you know how many times I've hit mute so no one would hear me do something, and then
turn it back on.
Oh, she's on mute by accident, and then right as I'm ripping a hot fart,
oh god,
I'm blowing out my butthole, and they're just like, Ashley, and I'm like, what? And I'm like,
all right,
but
Matt,
you did not mute it. Like, shit.
You want to kick it off with 5 seconds?
There goes another pair of leggings.
There goes my tidy whities. They just exploded off my ass.
Hey, you do not wear white underwear. Are you kidding me? No, God, why?
Oh, I've learned a very long time ago not to wear white underwear.
Well, is it mandatory that every tidy whitey has to have like a shit streak in it? Like, I mean, that's the thing. Like,
absolutely.
I think, and there's no way of avoiding it. Like, once it's there, it doesn't come out. You can bleach those things.
You
for
might
10
as well
years.
just throw them away.
Yeah, and that shit streak's not coming out of the tidy.
Actually, do you know that it's horrible to be a woman? Because even if you wear black underwear, if our male listeners don't know this, that the female vagina is actually naturally sort of acidic, and it naturally starts to dye, like tie dye your black panties.
The underwear, yes.
Yes, that is natural. So at first, I used to just think that I was harboring a xenomorph in my panties, and that's what was ruining all of them. And then I was like, oh no, they all do that.
What's wrong with me? Why am I contaminated?
Boys, sometimes when I'm hooking up with guys, I make them call it Ripley.
Now it all makes sense. I put it in there, my shit's just burning like it's on fire.
Eating those flaming hot Cheetos.
It like cuts to like you ever see Embed Horizon? Like you ever see that movie, which was a very, very underrated movie for how great it was. But you remember the scene when the lasers come through and cut the people in half? It's like you put that laser just and you come out, you're like,
but you're in there, you're like, it burns so good.
You go in a man and you come out a woman, and that's
absolutely. Every time a guy's inside me and he starts to realize what's happening, and he's like, game over, man, game over.
All right. Okay.
So we're going to go ahead and start a 5-second rule. Ashley, you have 5 seconds to give us 3 answers of a certain category, and then we will flip over the card. If you don't get all of them in 5 seconds, it will go to Matt, then it'll go to myself.
Okay.
If we don't all get it in the round, we're all just fucking morons.
I'm trusting I'm gonna figure this out. Okay.
Okay, so guess is first, correct?
Yes.
So name 3 famous men with mustaches.
Mustachios.
Mustache.
So just any 3 men with mustaches?
Yes,
yes, just give me second. You ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
Tom Selleck, Tom Atkins, Burt Reynolds.
There you go. All right. Easy enough.
Damn.
All right.
I was going to say Ron Jeremy.
Now,
I like this too. I don't
a little bit harder now looking at it. So, what the second round is going to be is actually what we want you to do is we want you to name 3 celebrities who have done lip sync battles starting now.
That may be hard. Gwyneth Paltrow, Jennifer Lopez.
So the first,
I don't know. I'm trying to think who's the lip sync.
Matt, it goes to you. There used to be that one song called Lip Sync Battle, and it had celebrities on it. So I have a couple from that show in my mind, but I think this is going to be a failed round. So Matt, 3 celebrities who have done lip sync battles starting now.
Channing Taint Yum.
Shannon's Tate.
Yeah. Shit.
All right. 3 celebrities
Channing Taint Yum.
who have done lip sync battles starting now. The Rock, Ryan Reynolds, and I don't know the third one,
Shit,
but I
we're
remember
not
The
very
Rock
good.
and Ryan Reynolds were on the TV
Damn
show
it.
where they had the belt, and it was hosted by Chrissy Teigen, and I forgot what
Who
network it was
played-
on.
Who played Spider-Man?
I know. I was going that
Oh,
one.
Tobey
I was,
Maguire?
Tom Holland?
no, the
Tom
newer
Holland.
one.
Oh, the new one. Oh, what
Tom
the fuck?
Holland,
Tom
yeah.
Holland.
Yeah. He did
I almost-
Rihanna's because it was very famous. He did the whole
Dude, he's amazing.
umbrella.
Like,
Yeah.
dude, he's amazing. Did you see that lip sync battle?
Yes.
Fucking
Yes.
hot.
Dude, I was
Yeah.
like,
Weird, I
bro's
liked it.
got skills.
Yeah. Which Spider-Man also, I am very excited for the new Spider-Man movie as well.
Yeah, that's
And
gonna be
I
interesting.
think
attached to Tom.
if they don't do the Spider-Verse, I think a lot of people are going to be very unhappy. So I
Right.
hope
But I,
that
I-
they get incorporated in there, because it doesn't make sense that the villains, and we're straying away from the games real quick, but we always go all over the place on the show, and it's okay. And you guys can go fuck yourself because it's my show and I don't care. So, but
We do what we want.
And so, no, what it is that it's weird the villains are in there, but the other Spider-Man won it. But then I was thinking about, somebody was talking about how, you saw a scene where when in the trailer, when he hits Spider-Man, when Doctor Strange hits Spider-Man, you kind of see like Spider-Man multiply come out of
Yes.
Peter Parker. That same
right.
scene
I'm just
happened
interested.
with Stephen Strange, and you saw multiple versions of him come out and go in. So what I'm thinking is that since that happened, that Peter Parker could exist in other
Oh
times.
yeah.
It's gonna be pretty
Which-
boss.
Now, when you see Dr. Octo, hello, Peter. Peter might not know
Yeah.
who he is, but he knows who that Peter Parker is.
I really hope emo Peter Parker
Like,
shows
If you think about it, if they do this right, I think
Yeah.
this is probably going to be one of the best Spider-Mans. To be
Oh,
honest,
agreed.
Yeah.
because like think about like the series like Loki and shit,
Yeah.
where it's all about like the
Well,
timelines and
The,
shit.
the whole thing is
It's-
there was something that somebody pointed out, that with WandaVision and Loki, that at the point there was something that Wanda did. I forgot what it was in the show, but she opened up something. I'm not sure if it was at the end or whatever, but she opened up some sort of portal or whatever.
I don't know.
But
She can do whatever she wants.
whatever
to
it
me.
was, is that at the same as that Marvel timed it, that the exact time in the episode was like 37:07. That exact time was when He Who Remains was getting stabbed
Mhm.
by Sylvie. And they said that's a strange coincidence that they did that. That's not a coincidence. That
Right.
that every millisecond, everything was boom.
Okay,
that.
so how
Right.
do you know this? Because you just
So-
nerded the fuck out.
I saw it on YouTube, and there I read a couple of things about it. But when they do that, they should do the same thing in the movie when Strange's spell spirals out of control.
Right.
That's when that should
That'd be pretty
happen,
dope.
because at that point all the multiverses are opening in all the universes at the
Right.
same time. So
Well,
you
what a
know,
lot of people don't know is actually that I had a role in Marvel. They actually called me the Scarlet Bitch because I'm bleeding everywhere and I'm super mean during that week every month.
and what we're gonna do real quick is, now that we're done with
Well, we got
10
another
second
game to
rule.
play.
Let's play another word game.
So what we're gonna do here, let me exit full screen
Scarlet
so I
bitch.
can go ahead and pin
I know a
myself.
couple Scarlet bitches.
Also, whenever you agreed with me that Tom Holland was kind of cool, it's kind of hot, I was like, "Ooh, somebody's the Scarlet Switch." Thank you very much. You are a top and a bottom, sir. I just wanted to.
I don't care. I'd fuck him. I don't care.
You wouldn't
I don't
like
care
it.
what anyone thinks about me.
Where
It was
is
pretty good.
I believe that. I'm proud of you.
Actually, I think he is gay though. Didn't he come out? I heard it was a rumor then.
I mean,
Probably saw it on
go.
YouTube.
It must
I'm
have
super
been-
supportive if he is, but
Oh, I don't-
also fucking how dare you?
But dude, like I'm not gonna throw shade at any gay man. I don't care about all that
All the
shit.
gays
But
take
he
the
can dance
cute one.
like a motherfucker. Like
The gays take all the
seriously,
cute-
most gay men can.
they're so hot. They're so hot. Gay men are so hot, and then I'm left with men that look like a potato, and and I'm just like,
like a
this,
potato.
I'm like, this will work.
It's so funny because it's almost like the same thing as like heterosexual male males, though.
I think I had too much of that Captain Morgan's tea because I could not find a way to pin myself. So pretty much what we're going to do is we're going to start.
I wasn't done with my little rant.
Go ahead. I will.
But it's kind of the same thing with heterosexual males, though. They think like, damn, they see this hot chick and they're just glory. They're just, oh my God, she's so hot. She must be gay.
Yeah.
So it's kind of the same thing with women. They're like, oh my God, he's so fucking.
Yeah. It's why men, when they see me, they're like, she's attainable. Like, I could settle for that. I'm like, give it 2 more years and you'll be ready.
Give it 2 more years.
And what we're gonna do now incoherent. Now, Ashley, I explained this to you before we went live. So are you ready? So what I'm gonna do is there's 2 hints on the back of this card. Let me know if you need hints and
why
sound
are we
it
so
out.
big now?
The best.
Okay, so I need to try and figure out what that means.
Yes.
Trifin. Trifin?
Yeah.
Trifin.
Trifling.
She's trifling. Triven. I don't. This is so hard.
I like you're drunk if I try.
Driving. I'm driving.
No.
You
Driving?
Driving? Are you driving?
Yeah.
I hope
If you're
not.
drunk, you shouldn't be driving.
You should be.
Trivin.
No vom.
No vomit?
Yeah, no vomit. It's short for vomit. No vomit.
Dry heaving.
Yes.
Boom.
It is dry heaving.
Got it.
And the
I
other
would
thing
not
was
have gotten.
all of the pain of vomiting with none of the relief. So that's what the second hint
Yeah.
would have
Oh
been.
God, I
for
hate
that.
dry heaving. It's like
It's kind of like feeling like you're gonna come and then you don't.
oh God, you're so right. Oh,
You're like, this is painful.
that is just
What
torture.
do you think that is?
Muscumule.
You
Musical?
must come.
What is it?
Sorry.
Musical?
No.
Damn it.
Sounded like she said I must come. I was like, what?
I must come. I must come on you. Muscumule. Muscumule. Damn it. This is so hard. Muscumule.
All right. So the
Muscle?
hint is a Russian donkey.
I did that one time, okay, and I have not been back, so I don't want to see any videos resurfacing. Muscumule. Jeez, Russian
so-
donkey.
So here's the other hint.
Oh, Moscow mule.
Yes.
You got it.
Yes.
Nice.
And
Jesus.
the other hint was the drink you order just for the shiny copper mug.
Oh, that would have been very easy. I'm kind of stupid. Okay.
All right.
Moscow
So,
mule.
Here's another one. Let's see. What does that say?
Power hour. Power hour.
Good job.
That's it. And they
Isn't that where you take a shot every minute for an hour?
yes. Yes.
Yeah.
It's where you pretty much commit suicide via drinking. So that's the way it is.
I've been doing it all wrong.
Those are rookie numbers, son.
And the
Damn,
hint-
I've never thought of that. I just used to butt chug, get a funnel.
Hell yeah.
you're like, screw
Straight
this.
butt
I'm just
chugging.
pouring it
Straight
in
to
my
jug bucket.
anus. So
Yeah, in the
like-
words of Cardi B, get a bucket and a mop. That's some wet ass butt pussy. It's-
and 1,000 Ways to Die actually had
Hold
it.
on.
Someone killed themselves from putting alcohol in their anus.
you can. It's very dangerous.
Butt pussy is now a word now. We're going to
Butt
use
pussy. It also has
Eric says bussy.
butt meat curtains. That's yeah.
it.
Oh, butt meat curtains.
And the
Wow.
power hour, the hints, which are always great. It was beer timer, and then a drinking challenge in which you take a shot of beer every minute for an hour. So
Oh, perfect.
that's what it was.
I know my alcoholism.
Descriptive
Let's
right
see.
there.
Let's see what
Shout
all
out, Dad.
we have. Okay, so we're gonna do this one. All right, and then those
I
other
think
two
my
will
dad
go
is
to
super.
next week. So what do you think this one is? And the red
Keg.
card means that it's pretty. Yeah.
Damn it. Keg reflux.
Yeah.
Well, keg reflux. It sounds like reflux. Keg reflux? Acid reflux?
Hint: taking it all in.
Oh God, guys, you're just making me moist. Gag reflex.
Yes, it is gag reflex.
That's
And the
why I
hint
was
said-
doing the motion in the back, but I was trying to be
Jokes on you, boys. I don't have one.
nice.
meant to prevent choking
have one
and
either.
other things. So that is our incoherent. And then what we're going to do is from incoherent, we're going to do what do you mean? And lately what we've been doing is we've just been holding up a picture and saying meme this, but it hasn't been turning out as well. So I grabbed some of the cards for it. And the picture that you are going to have for this is pretty this little half smiling, half happy, half sad, unsure dog. That's
okay.
And then we're going to give you 4 options on what you think this dog, what the meme would be.
God, can I just throw out something immediately because it's coming out of my brain?
Sure, go ahead.
Whenever you get sued by the city of DC, but then you have to pretend you're happy on a podcast.
That's good. We should take that as the win right there.
Actually, let's do the cards too. Let's do the cards too. That'll be fun also.
Yeah, I'll totally do the cards. I just looked at that dog and I went, oh, I feel sad for myself.
Yeah, and of course, if you tune into our bonus footage, we talk about that before the episode begins on why you're being sued by.
Well, I'm not being sued. I'm probably gonna reverse. I'm probably gonna sue someone.
Okay, so. One of the cards is when you watch Two Girls, One Cup for the first time. I watched that the first time and it's not exactly what I
had. The reaction I had.
All right. When you randomly remember how small your penis is. That's about right. That's about right. Okay. When the unsaved number in your phone starts catching feelings. What?
That is kind of cute.
When you get a picture with your favorite celebrity, but you look too ugly to post it.
Damn, that I gotta be honest, that might be the winner because you don't know how often that has happened to me. I've met some of my heroes, and I'm like not realizing the person I've asked to take a picture of. There's a picture with me and Carmen Esposito where she looks amazing. It's a little blurry, but I'm going like this. And you see all the meat in the neck, and it's just absolutely horrible. I can't post it. It makes me sad. I look like Jabba the Hutt in female form. It is a horrible picture. All the neck meat just it's so horrible. Like, you couldn't have taken any other photos. They're like, I thought, and I hate when people say this, I thought you looked great. I'm like, bitch, no, you didn't. You took a bad picture of me on purpose.
Did you not see that neck meat?
I love when body positive girls are like, you look fine. And I'm like, no.
And like, that looks like a turkey sandwich.
I love when they're like, you need to be more body positive. I'm like, okay, I'm positive. I hate my body. Thank you.
I'm positive that there's a sandwich going on somewhere in my.
I have lost things in there. I still can't find the Nuva ring I was supposed to put in. Like,
that's probably going to be the title of this episode. My neck is a turkey sandwich.
And then tell your listeners, be like, Ashley's available.
And of course, we can't have our Ode to Humanity segment without the game that it is named after, and that is Cards Against Humanity. So what we do, this is the new way we've been doing this the last couple of episodes, is we will read off the black card, and then as Justin Schlegel suggested, we will give you an option between the numbers of 1 through 5. Mm-hmm. Whatever number you choose, we'll answer that card. If you don't like that answer, you get 1 rebuttal. Okay. And whatever that rebuttal is going to be the answer to that card.
Okay.
So we are going to start off with round 1.
Okay. So the black card says, in the 7th circle of hell, sinners must endure blank for all eternity.
1 through 5 and go.
Let's go 5.
Let's go 5. All right. So this is 5. So
hold on. Oh God.
Yeah. So the card you chose, in the 7th circle of hell, sinners must endure filling every orifice with butterscotch pudding for all of eternity. Asher, are you happy with that answer, or do you want to
rebuttal? I'm gonna beat that butterscotch. Let's keep it.
You're gonna keep it? Awesome. All right. So your other options were for that you didn't choose was vegetarian options, a whole new kind of porn, party Mexicans, or a greased up Matthew McConaughey.
Which on the one hand, it sounds terrible. But on the other hand, sounds like a dream.
And
It's a
Ashley
dream. It's definitely a
is
dream.
actually the first guest we had that was satisfied with
Her
the first
first
answer she
answer.
chose. So she is the first guest that has chose that. Of course, this is only our fourth time doing it this way because it got a little hard reading off each card and then having people try to
Of
remember
course.
what
Well,
they
I just want to say, being the first guest to do that makes me kind of hot and steamy. Boys, again, I'm available.
So
I'm the first of my kind.
you're air first.
All right. So now we're going to do round 2. Same rules. Matt, go ahead and lay it out.
Okay. Turns out that blank man was neither the hero we needed nor wanted.
I'm so excited.
1 through
That's
5.
Gonna be
And let's
interesting.
just slap it on the table and let's let it rip.
Just like
Yeah.
my
I'm
time.
gonna say let's go with number 2.
Number 2. All right. So the card that you chose is turns out that Battlefield Amputations Man was neither the hero we needed nor wanted.
What?
I am 100% keeping that because he is an unsung hero, and we do not know if he is a hero or a villain. To
Yes.
some, he is a hero. He is an angel.
Right.
To
I've
others,
seen-
he's the devil.
I've seen the visual. I've
Yes.
seen the vision.
Now, do you want to know what the other cards were as well?
Yes,
What
absolutely.
you missed out on? What your life
What
has
was behind door 2?
Battlefield Amputations Man.
Yes.
Which
What
I
other
might have
heroes
made
are in
into
the
a shirt,
Watchmen?
Battlefield Amputations Man as a t-shirt.
I've
So
seen this
Steve,
card.
I may reach out to him and have that done as a
I
t-shirt.
want that T-shirt.
So your other answers were a cop who was also a dog.
Okay.
Hey, it's pretty cool, man. That's pretty
I
cool.
thought I remember picking these cards out earlier, and I thought about this with a certain conversation we had earlier, and I was like, "We're good, yeah."
Okay, so your other option was getting fisted by a man with no fingers.
Damn, that's another good one. Hero, villain, who
God,
knows?
I'm getting a semi just
Yeah.
thinking about it. Okay, a giant powdery man baby.
I do not think of Eric as a hero. Just throwing that out here.
And then your final answer could have been, of course, popping that pussy.
Popping that pussy. You know what? Never a villain.
Never
Always a hero. I pop that pussy for anyone in need.
And of course, that concludes our Ode to Humanity segment. Ashley Pontius, thank you for taking part in that. It's always fun. We always figure that Cards Against Humanity, it kind of, it starts off slow and then it gets a little bit more worse and then it gets a little more worse. And it's like, oh my God, once it gets the
Well,
Cards Against.
It gets pretty juicy. It does get juicy.
Yeah.
And I've been putting a lot of our Ode to Humanity stuff on there because I'm trying to get Cards Against Humanity's attention, and I've been tagging them because I want their attention because I want them to send me more stuff because I don't know of a lot of other podcasts that do Cards Against Humanity.
Well, it's fun. Have you gone on for just $5? You can get every type of expansion pack for $5 each.
Oh,
It's so
really?
much fun.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, if you go directly to their website for $5, you can get like all
shit.
kinds of expansion packs. It's awesome.
I didn't know that. Okay, cool.
Oh,
Yeah, I will definitely do that.
Tons.
And of course, you have the Quality Time podcast. So
Yeah.
tell us, we never actually really asked about the podcast. So tell us a
Sure.
little bit about the Quality Time podcast.
So Quality Time was actually started by Eric Woodworth, who you've had on the show, and his brother Jeremy. It's funny because a lot of people ask me, why is it called Quality Time? And obviously the show was started before I came on board, but Eric and Jeremy were trying to look for ways to spend time together after the passing of their father. And it became a really amazing way for them to bond over something Jeremy shared with Eric. So Jeremy's the older brother. And it was film. They bonded a lot over their lives with film, and it was something they just kept going. Now there was a female co-host they had before me for a little while, on and off, and then she went on to become a mother. Didn't really have any time and moved on, probably because of the content of the show. But so then Eric had me come on
There's
a little over a year ago, And immediately we just clicked. It's been so much fun. So we talk about a horror movie every week, nothing newer than like the last 5 years. So we don't like to spoil anything, but we love to get into nostalgia. So we love to talk about, you know, the really good classics, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, all that. So we do one movie every week. We break it down. We do a segment called Honest Ash, where I reveal horrible secrets about me that almost got me in jail or arrested or kicked out of a church. So those are fun. Jeremy usually writes a song every week, you know, usually about shitting himself or having a dingleberry. That's always cool. And Eric always has wild stories from shows when we're not on performing together. You know, Eric will perform to like middle-aged moms at a winery he didn't know he was going to, or he'll have an audience of 5 people and we talk about how bad it was. So we've really just bonded, and it's been incredible to watch the podcast blossom. We had Steve Kostansky, the director of Psycho Gorman, on the show this year. That was phenomenal. We've had great interviews for Jeremy dresses up like Pogo the Clown and goes to conventions. So he's had some great meet and greets with, you know, like Bruce Campbell and the people from Hellraiser. So Doug Bradley, because I know you have had him on your show.
He was also,
yeah.
And we didn't know he was from the UK. And
Yeah.
like, we had him on at 8. So it was like 4 a.m. over there. Or
But
something
He
like
was
that.
so sweet.
Like, I got up just to talk to you guys. We're like,
He's
man,
so
I
sweet.
feel bad.
It's
but-
funny because Doug Bradley, and here's a story. I'm not sure if I told this
Well,
ever on the
he
podcast
seems like a
before.
guy that doesn't
Yeah.
sleep, to be
And
honest.
and
but-
Doug Bradley, I have reached out. I reach out all the time. Of course, I work with a lot of PR people now, so a lot of our guests are generated through that. But Doug Bradley, I had shot our promo email out, and you know, months went by, like literally, probably about like 6 months went by, and I think his wife does all of his PR stuff.
Oh, okay.
A message, and it's like, hey, you know, we got your message, and you know, Doug gets a lot of requests like this. He gets thousands a day, and I'm like, oh, well, you know, whatever. They're gonna say,
Yeah.
and he's like, but this podcast stuck out to him, and he'd like to do your show, and I was like, oh,
Aw.
okay, well, you know, cool.
That's
and
so
we, you know,
cool.
we had
Very
Doug on-
humble
yeah.
man.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
Yeah.
one of the
and
most
definitely
humblest guys.
him and Dee Wallace especially were.
Oh,
Because
Oh,
we
yeah.
can get kind of like after the episode, and the
Especially
Dee was
Dee
like,
Wallace.
please cut it out. But she's like, you guys are some crazy motherfuckers after the show was done because,
I
and
love a good guest.
Yeah, she's a sweet lady.
and of course, what we're going to probably do is we're probably going to have a little bit of overrun when we have our comedian guests on. We always like to kind of go a little bit longer. And I was talking about this with Ashley before, is that, you know, Tommy Simbazo, Eric Woolworth, all their crew, we'd like to have them on
Amazing.
as guest spots, the guest co-host, because if Matt's not here, if Mike's not here, unfortunately, there's never a time where I can't be here because they don't know how to do any of this shit if I'm not here.
I don't even know
It's
what
the
this
same
is.
with Eric.
Yeah,
I don't even know what I'm looking at right now.
And that's the thing. So we will have Ashley
What's a
back in
podcast?
the future as a guest co-host.
Aw.
So, but one thing, and speaking of which, one thing we started last week, and it was on our pre-show, is that whenever we have Socrates on, Socrates writes poetry. So
What?
I was calling Socrates
No, she's like, oh,
Socrates
that's so cute. No, it's
the
not.
genius Potho,
There's no way.
because the genius was in WWE, and Socrates recited a poem that he wrote about prank calling a Make-A-Wish kid as John Cena. And of course, that was on our bonus footage last week. So whenever he's on, we're going to try to get to that every week, whether it be on our bonus content or whether it be on our actual episode. Now, one thing that we got to on our bonus footage last week as well, which I always neglect because I forget about it, is our Urban Dictionary term of the night.
Oh, I love it.
So the Urban Dictionary term of the night is boson layer. And the definition to boson layer, the so-called boson layer is a thick, impenetrable shroud of boson that surrounds an intellectually challenged people. When a boson layer appears, it's hard to get rid of. And on the contrary, it grows, blocking out all intelligent thoughts from reaching the victim. Though many tests have been performed, we have yet to discover a substance which creates boson holes. And the description is, gee, he has a thick boson layer, huh? I wasn't talking to you. So that is the Urban Dictionary term of the night. Of course, we had one last week that is on our bonus content. Make sure you check that out. Go into our YouTube, subscribe to all of our content. We have all kinds of stuff on there. Of course,
Do it.
we just released a bonus episode which was our drive home from Bubba's celebrity basketball game.
Yeah.
Which
Oh
was
my.
high as shit in the back seat. And
disclaimer here, I don't do drugs.
An hour and 18 minutes of us just talking about random shit, and it is hilarious. If you have not, just pull it up on YouTube. It's a YouTube exclusive. Watch it. It is absolutely fucking crazy. Like, I can't even, some of the shit that we talk, we could probably never talk about any of that stuff on Facebook Live that we were talking about.
I still don't know where that barn keeps coming from.
Now, Ashley, with that, what movie, honestly, do you think would do justice for a good remake?
Oh man. That is really, really tough. I'm gonna say, oh man, I'm gonna need a minute because that's kind of tough because I tend to get really attached to my really solid movies. I will tell you, there was a remake of a movie that is okay, but I think it could have been much better, and someone has a chance to still redo it. The Omen. Love the original. The remake was okay, but if done right, could be absolutely phenomenal.
Amityville Horror was kind of the same way.
I was just about to say, I'm not trying to shit on the people that made it, but there were certain pieces that felt really forced.
Also, Ryan Reynolds being it. Well, they had the one with Ryan Reynolds.
Too cute.
And then wasn't there another one with, what was it, Josh Brolin? I think they did, or something like that.
I don't
the newer one
think
after.
So. Well, so here's the thing. I agree with you because I don't really love the Amityville. And then if I'm not mistaken, they also redid Poltergeist, didn't they?
Yes.
It was okay.
Real stinker.
I mean, I was trying to be nice, but sure.
I don't like it.
Yeah,
it was
okay.
It was all right.
Yeah,
I like
honestly,
the older ones, but
I honestly feel that Phantasm.
Ooh, I agree.
If you see Angus Scrim, though, the tall man, those are very big shoes to fill.
I think there's a creep out there, though. I've seen a lot of America. There's a lot of weirdos out there. I think we can.
It'd be a very hard role to recast, but I think
it's phenomenal.
A remake of Phantasm would be really well. Also, this is more of like a cult horror Reanimator. I think that could get an amazing remake. However, you have to keep that creepy scene where the headless guy rips the clothes off of the chick and goes down on her in the movie, because
poor Barbara Crampton. What an uncomfortable scene. Well, here's the thing. I do agree with you, but at the same time, I don't know who could replace Jeffrey Combs because he is so phenomenally creepy. So I'm not really, it's a little bit hard because I look at that and I go, oh man, but he's just so phenomenal in that role.
I don't know a lot about Jeffrey Combs personally. He's still alive, right?
Oh yeah.
Why don't they?
He's still kicking, creeping people out.
They can always recast him, kind of.
As the same. Like role or a different role of the same. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I think at some point it'll happen. I just think while he was still alive, because they didn't end up making sequels. I'm trying to blank. There was an older movie I saw recently that I thought to myself, this is really solid, but it could use an update. And I might have to, just hit you up sometime and let you know, because I feel like I just saw something recently that because I love watching Shudder. Shudder is actually a phenomenal channel. I know some people are like, but they have some really good classics and some really good indie pieces that I don't think have ever gotten enough love if they're older, or even some new ones. I'll tell you guys a shout out, a newer film on there that I just watched, put out by the Shudder channel, called Vicious Fun.
Okay.
And that was actually 10 out of 10 for me. I thought it was very solid. I also love a movie that may not resonate with everybody on there. Again, another Fangoria and Shudder made movie, really spoke to my Christian upbringing, called Porno. It is hilarious. It is phenomenally done. And you see a ton of titties. And they're rocking tits.
Horror has
to bush.
It has to have nudity. And senseless stuff. If there's no nudity in a horror movie, I feel like it's not, especially a slasher movie.
Yes,
you gotta have have the lady in the shower, and you're just
and I mean another movie, and it's kind of an odd movie that I think would benefit from a remake. Castle Freak. Did you ever see Castle
I
Freak?
do agree with that. You know what? Did they not make a remake? I was thinking they might have.
I think
Not a good one, but
But I was
I'm
thinking.
not sure.
Now this is an oddball, and
I
I
love this.
only
I'm
remember
excited.
it just because it fucking freaked me out in my childhood. But I can't even remember. It's people that live under the stairs.
People under the stairs. Yes.
Mhm.
That fucks with me
Yeah.
so hard.
That's a good one.
Fun fact, when we used to have a TV show years ago, it was called Happy Hour TV. That's where a lot of
Okay.
our fully fermented content comes from. Make sure you
Mhm.
check that out. YouTube exclusive. Used to be our Patreon exclusive, but we made no money off of it. So I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna put it all on YouTube. So
Fair.
YouTube, starting in October, we have our interview from Horrifying 2012 with Dee Wallace and Tim Schultz, who makes
That's awesome.
Friday the 13th Hockey Mask. But
Right.
like with that show, we were gonna do we used to do like little skits and all that stuff with it. I thought of a segment that we ended up never doing called The Jews Under the Stairs.
Oh,
And it never ended up happening. And it was
Why?
it was gonna be and it was gonna be the kind of thing where Hitler is just haunted by these
Wow.
angry Jews under the stairs.
Wow.
And and I
Good though.
I
It
had the
worked.
whole
That's
thing
super-
written
it's
out
like-
and the costumes and how it was going to work. And I was like, this is going to be great. And we ended up never doing it. And
Can I
was-
tell you that it's now reversed? There's usually very rich Jewish people who have annoying Germans living in the apartment under their stairs.
Yes.
So
Most
The
of the time,
tables
they
have
don't know
turned,
the
darkness.
Germans are living there. They're just
Yes.
poor Germans that live.
that is like, hello. They're
Oh,
like, I know you forgot about me, but I'd like to come out now.
Like, that's what you get, motherfucker.
And we have probably about like 15 minutes or so left before we're going to go because we're running a little bit over. But have
Sure.
you ever known a relative that has basically committed a murder and hid it from you?
What the fuck? No.
Yes.
I'm not.
Yes.
I
Yes.
plead the fifth on this one. On that note, I'm going to use the bathroom.
No, you go ahead. I mean, no. I mean, does it count if I tried to kill myself? I mean, I had an attempted
Oh,
Now you're
murder.
getting dark.
Yeah, now it's getting dark. But
Well, now you're right. Now it's getting
Yeah,
dark.
now-
I'm sorry. At
this
this
show
point.
never gets dark. It gets dark all the time. But this show never gets, we try to be very humble and straightforward and
Nobody kills
this is a family friendly, program. So
Yeah. Oh my God. All the porn stars you have on here are kindergarten teachers.
but
They're just paying their way through school.
the reason I ask is my dad, God rest his soul, in October
Oh,
will be 5 years since he's passed away.
Mhm.
There was a time where I had a pet squirrel, and the squirrel's name was Nut. And pretty much the squirrel would come out and eat out of our hands. He would eat nuts out of our hands, and we would pet him. And this went on for about a good year. And then there was a time where I woke up and Nut just stopped coming around.
Oh God.
We didn't see Nut anymore, and I'm like, Nut's not coming around. And then one day Nut started coming back, and he was a little bit more aggressive. He was very angry, didn't want to eat out of our hands. He tried to attack us. And then when I got older, I sat there and I looked at my dad and I was like, whatever happened to that squirrel Nut that you said? He's like, oh well, funny you ask about that. He's like, the original squirrel that you see it out of our hands, I left for work one day and I backed over it and killed it. And the original Nut was brutally murdered by my father, by him running over it with his little small red Geo Metro and killing
God,
it.
that's a horrible
And then
car.
and then he had two of those. He had a 1990 and a 1996.
Your dad was a cool dude.
Yes. And so what he did is it's kind of like one of those things when your goldfish dies, you try to replace it with a goldfish, but it doesn't exactly look like the goldfish. So my mom and dad started to try to train another squirrel to eat out of our hand, and it just wasn't fucking having it. And after he revealed to me that he brutally murdered my pet squirrel Nut, that he hid it from me all of those years, I was just kind of like,
get it.
my father's a murderer.
Here's
He's a
the
murderer,
thing.
and he murdered that squirrel and he kept it from me.
Well, I have two thoughts. One, your father loved you a lot and didn't want to hurt you. And two, your dad was probably upset that he had a son who had a squirrel for a pet, which is why he
It
lied.
wasn't my idea. He's the one who used to.
It was his idea. Your dad's a psychopath.
He used to always He used to always feed it his nuts, not me. Like, come on now.
I used to have a pair of nuts. Now I'm called Ashley.
Nice.
You were once Alan, and now you're Ashley.
Well, you know, it's funny. Another horror callback, you know, Evil Dead. Me and Ash have a lot in common. We both like to fist people with chainsaws.
However, Negan's bat is too much. I believe in a steady, busy economy and the rape of the natural world. Use gasoline, not sheer force. Use a chainsaw.
That's where you're.
I'm a lumberjane. Just feel the vibrations.
I know, like Army of Darkness was one of my favorite.
Yes.
Oh, that's a great one.
Army of Darkness is very underrated. I believe.
Are you guys? I can't because I'm babysitting. Gross kids. Are you guys going October 7th to see the one day only Evil Dead is back in theaters?
No, I didn't even know that.
I did not know.
Yeah, October 7th, one day only.
Oh, nice.
I would go, but I have to keep my friend's kid alive.
So. I have kids, and honestly, that's all I do is just try to
keep them.
We don't have kids, and there was no Halloween last year. We used to do a big Halloween party, and we're just kind of like, well, you know, we're kind of getting a little bit like we're getting a little old for parties. So, you know, I told my wife, like, I was kind of down, I was kind of depressed, and she was like, I was like, you know, Halloween's like my Christmas, and she's like, well, why don't we go somewhere? And I was like, well, where the fuck could we go? And she's like, well, let's do Salem. So we're going to go to Salem, Massachusetts, like the witch capital of the world.
That's going to be awesome.
And we'll go to Boston. We'll see all these cool things, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just sitting there like, we're going to fucking witch museums where there's a wax museum where it shows a witch being fucking boiled alive in a fucking boiled pot.
I'm so jealous.
Any of that. That's the kind of shit we are going to be doing.
No, it's going to be awesome. We have a friend, Eric and I have a friend there this weekend. Our good friend, Chris De La Martina, he's a director of the WNUF. God, I hope I'm not screwing that up. Or is it WNUH? I apologize, Chris. My bad. But no, he has a horror movie that was phenomenal. In fact, they're making a sequel with the original's currently on Shudder. But he's there this weekend and he's been taking a bunch of photos. Nice. And I'm so jealous. So what I did this year is I didn't take a vacation at all in the summer. I hate the heat. Look at me. I'm not built for it. But what I did is I shaved up my vacation for the last week of October into November 1st.
Nice.
So that is my vacation. So I'm just going to get drunk, do some shrooms, watch a lot of horror movies, maybe, you know, flick the bean, do nothing. Just be like, is that my Ring doorbell or am I about to come?
It is my Ring doorbell. Shit, my pizza's here.
Oh, do you know how embarrassing that is to be pantsless and you're Winnie the Poohing it and then you get a knock at the door and I'm like, oh my God, it's my Domino's order. And the guy's like,
come on in.
It's your Domino's order. And you're like, just leave it there. Just leave it there. And then you see that they have a weird look on your face. And you're like, why do they look so weird? And then you realize that for some reason your Ring had a feature you didn't know that it had. And you inadvertently hit a button and they can see
into my apartment.
See you. And they're just kind of like, and then they are slowly eating the pizza as they're watching what's happening on camera. Yeah.
I'm doing the Buffalo Bill and you're doot. And I'm like, would you fuck me? I would fuck me. And like, I would not fuck you.
And that's the thing. Like you're sitting there and you're just like, leave the pizza now. And it's just kind of like, what? And then like, they're just kind of like, are you sure? Well, what about a tip? And you're like, oh, you want a tip? And then the door opens and hands come out and you just pull them in. And it's just kind of like, this is going to be your tip.
I'm like, I got a tip for you. I'm like, you should always leave someone 20% on a table of 5 or more. And then they're just like, what? And I slam the door shut.
I could tell you're one of Tommy's friends because you mentioned doing shrooms and then flicking the bean.
Yeah,
I imagine Tommy doing something.
100%. That person may have gotten me into them because
not going to confirm or deny.
Well, no, because I have a horrific treatment-resistant depression, and it's life ruining. And we went to the Joe Bob Briggs weekend, and I'm not gonna lie, I was a huge bitch. I had a great time before they showed up, and then I just couldn't. The minute I just look at Eric or Tommy's face, and I'm like, I fucking hate you. And they're like, I didn't even do anything yet. I'm like, I just don't like you. And they're like, okay. So I knew I needed to like relax because I'm just a high strung woman, and came home that weekend with a big bottle of tea. And
yes,
we've
we
heard
know
about
your
that
Tommy's
tea.
friend. I'm never
At our,
Scott. Was it Scott? Or Justin?
Justin. Yes.
He was there.
Warned us about that.
Well, it's funny.
If Tommy ever offers you tea.
Justin was actually there for my little bitch moment. I felt bad. I texted him.
Justin was like, he was like, if Tommy ever offers you tea, make sure it's actually tea.
Well, it's funny because that tea, he brought that tea up when I initially had him as a guest. And also we had on Vincent Painter, former NFL star, and
he was high as shit.
She noticed. She's like,
and so at our 1 year anniversary, Tommy brought him some of that mushroom tea.
Oh, I know.
1 year anniversary, and gave it to
special
Vince.
tea.
Yeah.
Special.
I know, because I got a phone call at one point that said, "Hey, I may have made a mistake," and I was like, "Of what variety?" He's like, the natural kind. I was like, oh, okay. I was like, who did you give them to? And he was like, oh, and then he told me, and I was like, oh, okay. How did Ray feel about that? He's like, I don't give a shit. He doesn't give a shit. And I was like, oh, that was good.
That's the thing is like, people like, I'm such a laid back guy. Like, I'm nice to everybody. And people want to be like, oh, how does Ray feel about it? Ray doesn't give a fuck. Like, Ray,
no, it's great. But so I have to be like code wordy sometimes if I care, but because I'm a federal employee. But also the good thing about I am not anymore.
Not according to Tina. What was her name? Tina.
Tammy.
Tammy. Not according to Tammy.
Tammy, you're a bitch. Tammy, you're the reason I have to eat things in the forest.
We drank so much special tea that like you think you're a federal employee. You're actually not.
I'm just a loser in someone's basement. Eric, feed me.
Tammy's like, look, bitch, it's not the tea. It's real.
Tammy could be your alter ego. It could be that bitch.
Oh my God, but it's like Tammy, that movie with Melissa McCarthy, because we're the same body type. And I'm just employed at a grocery stop. Like, I wish someone would love me. The other reason I got into it because of Tommy was because the old magic lettuce couldn't really do if I was to get caught, and I wasn't really into it. This isn't my thing. But then Tommy told me that the tea doesn't show up in your pee. If you pee it out, it's like gone the first pee. So I pee a lot. I'm like a camel. I store it in my humps.
Yeah.
So I just drain the old bladder when I need to. I can survive in a desert without drugs for a very long time. But no, I've been a little bit nicer. I'm a little bit more chill. I'm still
until you see Tommy and Eric's face again.
Oh my God. Every time I see Eric's face, I'm like, God, you just look like a Cabbage Patch Kid fucked a Campbell Soup kid. And I just, God, he's shiny like a doll. And he's just
shiny. I'm not even tripping. He's shiny.
All the mayonnaise. All that fucking mayonnaise he's eating. The other night he showed me a picture of him eating out of a bag of shredded cheese. And I'm like, I can hear you getting fatter.
It's funny because Tommy and Eric both, like when we had the shirt made up, I was like, you guys help out, a lot. I consider you a part of the crew. Do you mind if I put you guys on the shirt? And they're like, no, not at all. And I want to get them a shirt so bad. I need to get one out of each of them or whatever. But
take your time. But no, they love it.
When I saw it, I was like, oh, that's just so fucking.
It's a great shirt. No, they
probably
were
the best shirt
probably the best.
It is.
Yeah, they loved it. They wouldn't stop talking about it. They were showing us because they loved the design. They thought it was
great. Shout
out
to Steve Freeman. If you need anything done, book covers, he does all the book covers for David Gilbert. Very, awesome. Very talented artist.
Individual, yes.
Amazing.
He's a good friend of us. We're actually going to be trying to air live. He has a bar in his backyard. So next week, speaking of which, next week we will be live, and we will be coming live from his bar. And so that should be fun. So Steve's going to have us there, and it should be cool. Like, I mean, but the only thing is with everything, we learned this through a lot of live shows is that we need to get the audio right.
It's always tough. Yeah,
has to be
so much planning has to go into it.
Yeah, And of course, we're going to be coming live next week. We'll be back next week. And for those of you listening to us at home as well on the audio pod, we will be back next week. Our very special guest will be Randy Edelman. Randy Edelman was the composer for Ghostbusters 2, Last of the Mohicans, and various other movies. So he will be joining us. Shout out to Aline Shapiro. She gets us a lot of our guests. So Aline is also trying. She also has us. We're going to have on a few other guests. She is trying, and this is not going to be 100. It's probably about
You're going to give me a hard on
an
saying
8% chance of it happening. I'm not going to know until probably about the week before, maybe a couple of days before, but she is trying to get Corey Feldman on special.
Damn,
so that will be awesome. If it doesn't happen, whatever. I never get my hopes up with stuff like that because
I can pretend to be Corey Feldman.
Yes,
sure.
You know what? We can always have
shave
Ashley.
your head.
Yeah.
I'll give myself a very butch
cap like on Friday 13th Part 4.
Sure.
Yeah,
I could do that, or hear me out. I could be the pizza stoner dude from The Burbs.
Nice.
I could be like, maybe he's inside and he like fell in the tub and cracked his head open and there's blood everywhere.
Or he's just in there flicking the bean.
Yeah.
It keeps the witches away.
So of course, make sure you follow us on social media. All the info for next week. We will be live with Randy Edelman. And of course, Ashley Pontius. For anybody listening at home who may be hearing you for the first time or seeing you for the first time, where can everybody find your comedy, the Quality Podcast, the Quality Time Podcast? I apologize. Where can they find all of your stuff?
So you can find me on social media at Ashley Pontius Laughs, and you can find the podcast on all major platforms. You can find us on Instagram at the Quality Time Pod. But you can catch me coming up. Let's see here. On October 9th, you can catch me at the Autobar in Baltimore. I'll be on the Second Saturday Shit Show. And then you can catch me again actually featuring for Tommy Sinbazo at Snifters on the Eastern Shore. That'll be on the 23rd.
Awesome. And Ashley, thank you for being on the show. Of course, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to wrap up our live episode, and we're also going to wrap up here on Spotify and wherever else you find your podcast. And we'll probably have a little bit of bonus stuff after the show. Of course, we have some pre-show stuff. So for everybody listening and watching at home, thank you for tuning into the Happy Hour podcast. We will see you guys next time.